Hi there, it's Jermaine from livewellzone.com. I am an integrative nutrition health coach and a yoga teacher who helps women to balance their hormones naturally. And this is video number 2 in our discussion on how to use adaptogenic herbs for balancing your hormones. And today we are going to look specifically at 5 different adaptogens. So we are going to talk about Schisandra berries, Ashwagandha, Rhodiola, Maca, as well as Cordyceps. Now, if you've not watched the first video in this series, make sure to do that because that video gives you a lot more detail about how stress and inflammation can affect the body, especially our hormones, as well as why and how adaptogens can help with all of that. Before we talk about these adaptogens, I do want to point out that adaptogens as a whole can be broken up into 2 categories. So some of them have more of a stimulating effect on the body and others have more of a cooling effect on the body. And I will be pointing that out as we go along because that can definitely have an impact on which herb you ultimately decide to use and to add into your daily regimen. So first up is Schisandra berries. Now, Schisandra berries are pretty neutral when it comes to their energy. So they're not very stimulating and they're not ultra cooling either. They're right in the middle ground where things are pretty balanced. And Schisandra is quite known also for its flavor. It's actually known also as a 5-flavor berry because it has the main 5 flavors that you can find in nature. So they have a combination of sweet and sour and bitter, salty and pungent flavor all wrapped up in these berries. Now, in terms of research and how they help the body, Schisandra is well known for being very helpful for supporting liver health. So they are great for supporting liver detoxification. They can help improve circulation and just help the entire process of removing toxins from the body. Now, we know that this is very important when it comes to getting rid of hormonal imbalance symptoms. I actually have a video that talks about liver health and hormones. I'll make sure to link to that so you can check it out. So if you need an adaptogenic herb and you also need some liver support, Schisandra berries are very effective for that. They are also anti-inflammatory. So again, going back to the basic work that all adaptogens do, they help to reduce inflammation and to reduce the workload on the adrenals. In addition, Schisandra can be quite effective for reproductive health. So everything to do with like fertility and libido and also just even boosting the overall health of the uterus, Schisandra has been shown to help with that as well. In terms of other uses, so in traditional Chinese medicine, Schisandra is used when you need to sort of improve your focus and your concentration as well as your memory. So it's a good nourishing berry when it comes to the nervous system and brain function. And last but not least, Schisandra has also been shown to help with inflammatory skin problems. So it can protect the skin from inflammatory conditions like acne, rosacea, as well as things like eczema. Now, number 2, we have ashwagandha. This is a very popular adaptogen. This one is actually a root and it has a slight warming effect on the body. So it's slightly warming, or you can also think of it as being slightly stimulating, but still it's great for still balancing out again that nervous system and balancing the workload on the adrenals. Now, there is lots of research when it comes to ashwagandha, and it has been shown to help with a whole bunch of things. So I'm just going to go through the list really quickly of the most important ones, especially the ones that are most relevant when it comes to our hormones. So it can help with stabilizing your mood. It can help to restore healthy cortisol levels, not surprisingly. Ashwagandha can also help when it comes to regulating and improving insulin sensitivity. It balances out your immune system. It can regulate your estrogen to progesterone levels, and that's a big one because again, whether we're talking about things like estrogen dominance, we don't want that ratio to fall out of whack. We need that ratio to be healthy when it comes to our menstrual cycle. So using ashwagandha can keep that estrogen to progesterone ratio at a healthy level, It's also known to support the proper thyroid function, so that can help when it comes to boosting your metabolism, when it comes to hair growth, when it comes to your bone health, your heart health as well, and lots of other things. Last but not least, it can protect the brain when it comes to oxidative stress. So the oxidative stress is everything that's also related to inflammation and unhealthy food or generally stressful lifestyle that can create oxidative stress, and ashwagandha has been shown to help protect the brain. Next up, we have Rhodiola rosea. So Rhodiola is another one of the very heavily researched adaptogens, and this one, when it comes to its energy, is going to fall in the group of sort of neutral to slightly warming, so not too far off from where ashwagandha is. Now, when it comes to the benefits, one of the main things with rhodiola is that it's really good if you are feeling very drained and depleted and you need to get your energy up and you need to feel more alive and vibrant. Rhodiola is excellent for that. It's very well known for helping to regulate cortisol production. So again, a big one when it comes to stress and our hormones. It can help to ease depression. It can enhance concentration and focus. And last but not least, it also helps to maintain a healthy metabolic rate. Now, number 4 on the list is maca. So maca, again, ultra popular herb that is used for lots of different hormone related issues. Now, this particular herb is actually a root, and it comes in 3 different forms. So you can get red, yellow, or black maca. And many times when you buy them, especially in powder form, you will most likely be buying a blend of all 3 forms of maca. Now, this root is definitely more stimulating compared to everything else that I have listed so far. So this is more of a warming and stimulating adaptogen. Now, the benefits of maca is that it can help to improve different symptoms of adrenal fatigue. It's very effective at helping with fertility in both men and women. It can help to restore a healthy libido. And of course, like all adaptogens, it will help to support your stress response system and to help regulate the function of your HPA axis, which we talked about in the first video. Now, as I mentioned starting off, maca is stimulating, and for some people it's a little too much. Some people use maca and they actually feel a lot more agitated from this root. So it's one that you want to be mindful of. Now, one thing I do want to point out is that those negative side effects that come with maca can sometimes come from just taking too much of it. So if you buy maca, depending on the brand, some brands will recommend that you use 9 grams as 1 serving. Now, 9 grams is basically the equivalent of a tablespoon. That's pretty high, because if you look at the research on maca, you'll see that they've been able to get good results using anywhere from 1.5 grams to about 3.5 grams, and in some cases maybe even 5,000 grams. So the range that's been shown to work when it comes to scientific studies is significantly lower than, let's say, 9 grams, which some brands recommend to take as 1 serving. So if you decide to use maca, start low. Start with, like I said, 1.5 grams. That's basically equivalent to about 1/3 of a teaspoon. You can take it all the way up to even 3.5 grams, which is 3,500 milligrams. And that is going to be equivalent to about 3/4 teaspoon. Now, personally, I use maca pretty regularly in my smoothies, and I will put, for 1 smoothie, I will use just 1/2 teaspoon. So I basically go right in the middle of the range of giving you, but anywhere from 1/3 to 3/4 teaspoon. Start there if you're using maca powder in your smoothies and other meals. Now, the last adaptogen we're going to look at is cordyceps. Now, cordyceps are one of many mushrooms that have adaptogenic capabilities, and there's lots of them to choose from, but I chose cordyceps just so I can give you a quick overview of what mushrooms can do. Now, when it comes to mushrooms, they basically take a different approach in terms of working as adaptogens. So unlike everything else that we've looked at that work directly on the stress response and the adrenals, mushrooms work more on the immune system. So they are excellent for boosting your immune system. Now, why this can help with hormones is because having any sort of a compromised immune system. So whether you have viruses or fungus or bacteria or anything else that's working your immune system over time, that will eventually still add to your stress, and that stress will ultimately still have a negative impact on your body's ability to regulate your hormones. So cordyceps and other mushrooms go through the immune system, and by doing that, they can basically indirectly help to improve the body's endocrine system and how your hormones function. Now, in addition to that, cordyceps are also very good for boosting the levels of antioxidants in the body. Now, antioxidants we also need to fight off inflammation. They are necessary for slowing down aging and also just preventing us from chronic conditions. So whether it's things like diabetes or heart problems or cholesterol problems or obesity, a lot of chronic conditions are all ultimately linked to that inflammation. So those antioxidants are great, again, for indirectly supporting the body so that the hormone system can balance itself out better. Now it's time to talk about how to take adaptogens. So first off, you can drink them in a tea. So just like all herbs and roots, you can make a tea out of adaptogens. Now, depending on which one you choose to use, you might get a flavor that is not too pleasant, but you can definitely use tea as an option. Another way is to use them as a substitute for coffee. Now, this one in particular is excellent for the mushrooms that are adaptogenic. So there are lots of brands out there that have mushroom blends that are meant to really replace your morning coffee. So as I mentioned earlier, adaptogens can have a stimulating effect, but it's not as extreme or as strong as using coffee and all the caffeine that comes with it. So if you need to have that sort of that boost of energy that you'd get from a caffeinated drink, but you want to also wean yourself off of coffee, adaptogens can be a good way of doing that. You will find brands on the market that combine different mushrooms along with some other herbs like chicory. So chicory roots is an herb that is often used also as a coffee substitute. Sometimes you find it also blended with things like cinnamon and other herbs. So I encourage you to use adaptogens in that form if you are generally a coffee drinker and you just want something to replace that feel. It's not going to taste like coffee, but it will still give you that boost plus all of the good stuff that comes along with taking adaptogen. The next way you can use adaptogens, and this is probably going to be the most convenient and the easiest, is to just use them as a supplement. Now, in terms of supplements, you can get them in a capsule or you can get them in a powder. So the powder, you will most likely be using it more in your smoothies. You could also use it in some desserts. Things like Maca and Ashwagandha work pretty well when it comes to smoothies or desserts. Other ones, again, the flavors can be too strong or too earthy and just don't lend themselves well to baked goods or to smoothies. So again, capsules or powders. Now, when you buy these, you want to make sure that you're getting them from a reputable brand and preferably from a company that really specializes in herbs, because they will know how to formulate these. Also, you want to be mindful of mixing and combining these adaptogens, because these are powerful herbs and you don't want to take the wrong dosage. And once you start combining them, you really do have to know what you're doing. So what I always suggest is that you either just use one if you're going to buy it individually. So otherwise, if you plan on combining them, then you're better off actually buying a blend where they are already pre-mixed in the right ratios, so that you don't run the risk of blending them in the wrong ratios. Basically, you want to have a healthy balance of each. Now, when it comes to the supplements and the powders as well as the adaptogenic coffees, I will put links to the brands that I recommend and the ones that I enjoy, so that gives you a starting off point for what to look for. So I'll put the links to those below the video. There are a few other safety precautions to take when you are using adaptogens. So the first thing to keep in mind is that these are not meant to be used long term. So they're not like your daily multivitamin that you can just keep taking day in and day out for years and decades on end. They're not meant for that purpose. These work really well when you combine them with other dietary and lifestyle changes that reduce stress and that also support your hormones. So you want to make sure that before you dive into using these, that you have a longer term plan for how you are also going to change other aspects of your life to help you better support your hormones. So these herbs will help you in that transition so that you can start getting a little bit of a booster and start feeling better. But if you rely on them and make no other changes, then you either won't get any results at all, or you get some results and then kind of fall back. So keep that in mind, that you want to combine them with other healthy habits. Also, once you start using them, I suggest starting off using them for about a couple of months, or maybe 2 to 3 months you can use them. But do make sure that every week you take off at least 1 or 2 days per week where you don't take the adaptogens. So at least 1 day off per week. Once you've been using them for 6 weeks, take 1 week off. And if you've been using them for up to, let's say, 6 months, then make sure to absolutely take a full month or 2 off of them before you get back into using these herbs. Okay, so those are the 5 main adaptogens that you can use to balance your hormones. Now, of course, there's a lot more adaptogens out there. I have articles on my blog that talk more extensively about these herbs, so I will link to all of those if you want to learn more about other adaptogens. So there's stuff like astragalus and shatavari. There's lots of other herbs out there that you can use. So I will place the links to those blog posts so you can learn more when you are ready. So to recap, again, make sure that you use these in combination with a healthy diet and lifestyle. I'm also going to place a link to my hormone balancing diet plan, and you can get a free download from that that gives you a full shopping list as well as some smoothie recipes that you can use to start balancing your hormones. So go ahead and take advantage of that free resource. I'll place the link below the video. And of course, make sure that you buy from reputable brands. I will put my personal recommendations below this video. This is not to say that these are the only good brands on the market. These are just the ones that I personally enjoy. So I hope that this video was helpful, and do let me know if you would like more videos on herbs, whether it's adaptogens or any other types of herbs. If you're interested in more videos like this, leave a comment below and I will definitely make sure to put out more of that content that is relevant for you. So if you enjoyed this, go ahead and share it with anybody else that can benefit from it. Give it a thumbs up, and of course, if you're new to my channel, then subscribe so you can get more videos like this one to help you balance your hormones naturally. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.